police are following this up and they are conducting a full investigation. Look, there is a behavioural problem here. There has been a behavioural problem for some months. Outbursts, anger, that kind of thing.
Dan, that's not right. What I did say after Friday was that the party had just slit its own throat.
So as someone who has been the victim of a witch hunt based on completely false allegations, where the police were weaponised in an attempt to cause my cancellation, I have to be honest, I feel deeply uneasy about this civil war engulfing Reform UK. Yes, I support this party. I voted for them at the last election. And indeed, I was the first person to predict Nigel Farage will be the UK's Prime Minister by 2029 on the day he announced he was standing in Clacton last June. But there is a big but, I'm afraid. Because to see this party implement the dark and devious tactics of the left, spurious HR complaints about so-called bullying of woke snowflakes, dragging the police in over hurty words, well, it just goes against everything I thought reform is meant to believe in. I couldn't actually believe that this was the response from Nigel Farage to Rupert Lowe's soul-bearing exclusive interview with me here on Outspoken yesterday.
Some people look at the timing and scratch their heads. This guy writes an article accusing you of being the Messiah and an egomaniac, and suddenly you're referring to the police for something that happened months ago. That's pretty fishy.
Well, no, I think that particular accusation comes from our party chairman, and this didn't just happen months ago. It's actually happened in the space of the last few days as well. So that's obviously a very serious thing. The police are following this up and they are conducting a full investigation. Look, there is a behavioural problem here. There has been a behavioural problem for some months. Outbursts, anger, that kind of thing. Frankly, I've tried to put it all to the back of my mind. We've all tried to put it to the back of our minds. And as I say, I'm not prejudging anything on these allegations of a bullying culture going on in his offices. But I put it to you, any party who had a senior figure that was facing those accusations would have to act in some way.
And sure enough, the headlines this afternoon confirm a Met Police investigation into Zia Yusuf's claims has been launched by the Met, even though Rupert knows nothing about it. And I have to be honest, I would much prefer the Met Police were focused on burglaries, on muggings, on rapes, on grooming gangs. But Rupert has made it clear he isn't taking Nigel's claims lying down. He posted on X, Mr. Farage has openly lied about me on national television. He must urgently apologise, retract and correct the record. He says he knows for a fact on the 29th of February I was informed that there was a parliamentary investigation into allegations. He also goes on to say shortly after that I gave the interview to the Daily Mail. These are outright lies. The actual Daily Mail interview took place on the 25th of February, days before publication. The interview itself was conducted before I received the first letter from Reform on the 28th of February. This letter was not from Parliament. To suggest I used the interview to deflect from any investigation is factually untrue. I have heard absolutely nothing from Parliament about any of this. Nigel Farage needs to urgently correct the record, apologise, and stop telling lies about me. Their malicious witch hunt against me has fallen apart. And that's before you even get to Yusuf's claims that have resulted in the police investigation. So, Reform's chairman says that Rupert made some sort of death threat against me, but in our exclusive interview, Rupert Lowe insisted that just isn't the case.
This was an argument, I would say it was, on the 13th of December, but between Zia and I, who he sent a power email basically trying to undermine my position in Norfolk. And it was one-on-one. We had a frank conversation. I made my feelings known, and I haven't spoken to him or nor have Reform head office tweeted or retweeted any of my stuff since that date. So it's clearly a debate. Nothing was said, as far as I'm aware. He was taken.
In fact, any reference to throat slitting, he says, Rupert says, was speaking metaphorically about Reform's future. So what is being said, and no one has reported this, but what is being said, and I believe it's untrue, but I want to give you the opportunity to say it's untrue, that you threatened to slit Zia Yusuf's throat in that meeting.
Dan, that's not right. What I did say after Friday was that the party had just slit its own throat. That's what I said about the party. I haven't.
So you weren't making a threat to him.
I didn't say that to Zia, by the way. I said that to my staff, and I maintain that. I think this is a most mysterious and an extraordinary decision that was made. And so no, I haven't spoken to Zia or communicated with him as far as I'm aware.
I pushed Rupert one more time because he is absolutely certain that this complaint is completely spurious and designed to destroy him. Watch. Okay, but in that meeting on December the 13th, though, and why this matters is it's the complaint that's been made to the police. And we have to know if this police complaint is being used really as the weaponization of the justice system, or if there was anything serious. Did you threaten his life at all in that meeting?
Dan, it was a robust debate about an email he sent, and I can't remember the exact words. We were in there together. It was a robust debate because I was irritated that he was playing power games with Norfolk, which, as you know, is part of my sort of constituency. We've been busy setting up the local branches. Indeed, since Friday, they've suspended the branch chairman. And I was, I've been around a long time. And by the way, I'm 67 and he's 38. So I don't honestly think that
he felt threatened.
That any credible emphasis can be given to what he said, frankly. But look, I've got my solicitors, Erwin Mitchell, have been sitting on hold for most of the day trying to speak to the Met. It's very difficult to get through to them. I've already teed up, if the police wish to talk to me, I hope they will do it politely. I hope they will do it in a confidential way. And I hope that when we meet, they will show me what evidence they have for the accusations that have been made.
And of course, that hasn't happened because that never happens with the Met Police, who have leaked probably or confirmed that this investigation is going on. It's awful. It is the political weaponization of our justice system. And what is so shocking about this overall reform civil war is that even Nigel's closest allies are speaking out despondently. Take Kate Hoey, a Brexiteer supporter close to Nigel. She posted to Lee Anderson, Reform's chief whip, yesterday. Seems like Lee is ignoring the saying, when in a hole, stop digging. This clearly is a deliberate ploy to get rid of one of the most popular Reform MPs, very short-sighted, and Reform members all over the country must be very frustrated. And take this, I really want to show you this actually, from Conservative defector Tim Montgomery, a Farage supporter, who admitted on Talk this morning to Julia Hartley-Brewer exactly what this plot is really about.
I'm more of the view that actually there were political tensions between the two men. They had a different view about where the party should go. Rupert Lowe, I think, was becoming quite impatient about some of the points that he was making. And Nigel Farage decided this was not a tension that he would tolerate. And I think these allegations of misbehaviour were more of a cover for something that he wanted to do anyway.
Okay, so you're saying these are political differences rather than personal ego differences, because a lot of people think actually it's more about personal ego on both men's parts.
I think it's more a political that Reform are having to go through.
Yeah, but you don't call the police. That's my issue here. You have that argument. Do not try and take away someone's liberty. Seriously, for an argument, political argument. Meanwhile, in an extraordinary and unprecedented statement, Rupert's so-called bullied staff have all spoken out in support of their boss. And critically, and here's the big difference, guys, they have put their names to this statement. So watch Mike Graham's sage take on this situation on Talk. And again, I stress, Mike Graham is another long-time ally of Nigel Farage. But first, this episode of Outspoken is brought to you by Manscaped, the global leader in men's lifestyle and grooming. Now, every man knows the unbeatable feeling of a fresh barbershop shave, but what if I told you that you no longer have to wait weeks or even months between appointments to experience it? Introducing Manscaped's newest innovation, the Chairman Pro electric foil shaver, the game-changing tool that brings the luxury of a professional shave right into your home. Whether you're after that daily silky smooth finish or prefer to maintain a rugged 5 o'clock shadow, the Chairman Pro electric foil shaver is your go-to for precision and style every time. After so many shaving mishaps in my past, Manscaped has improved my grooming routine no end and my confidence with it. So what makes the Chairman Pro stand out? Well, it's all about versatility and precision. It comes with 2 interchangeable skin-safe blade heads. You have the skin-safe 4-blade foil for that close, smooth shave when you're looking to go completely clean. And if a clean shave isn't your style, that's okay. Do what I do and switch to the skin-safe stubble trimmer to keep your stubble looking sharp and polished. Both heads are designed with skin-safe technology to help reduce razor burn and irritation, so your skin feels smooth and comfortable after every shave, reducing redness or discomfort. A standout feature that truly differentiates the Chairman Pro from the rest is the Flex Adjust technology. It's innovative and ensures a superior shave by allowing both blades and the pivoting head to seamlessly adapt to the unique contours of your face. If you want even more precision, on the right side of the bracket there's a precision lock. When you lock it, the blade head sits firm so you can achieve a more precise shave. It's also waterproof, which means that you can use it in the shower and just rinse it off under the sink. Get the Chairman Pro today and experience a shave that is as smooth as you deserve. Head on over to manscaped.com and join the over 11 million men worldwide, I'm one of them, who trust Manscaped by using the code OUTSPOKEN at checkout. That will give you free shipping and 20% off. That's manscaped.com, using the code OUTSPOKEN for free shipping and a whopping 20% discount on your entire order. You can just click on the link in the show notes below. But now, back to the show.
A statement has been issued this morning by Rupert Lowe's basically staff, 7 people who talk about how great he is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 people, I got that right, who talk about how great he is, how they've never seen any violent or vicious behaviour from him. They call him a good, decent, honest man. They say that, to put it simply, we all love working for him. We would like to put our sincere appreciation to him on the record. Wider allegations of bullying are entirely untrue. It puts an absolute dagger to the heart of the argument being made by Nigel Farage that what we have here is a sort of slightly unhinged man who doesn't seem to be in control of his actions or his emotions. Doesn't sound like that at all. So what we don't know is what the next move will be. Nigel Farage talks about an investigation going on. The police have been called. You know, all sorts of things are happening. But quite frankly, after seeing Rupert Lowe being interviewed by Dan Wootton last night on his show, the man looks completely in control of his faculties. He sounds like a man who is very sincere about what he wants to do and why he wants to continue to remain an MP to save Britain from itself. All of those things are very, very important, and we will continue to seek the truth.
Of course, Reform chiefs insist that the situation is not damaging them. They argue that Rupert isn't a big enough name to cross over, and they point to strong ongoing polling in YouGov, even though they've just slipped behind Labour, still in a pretty good place. However, dig deeper, and the same polling company YouGov has discovered that Reform voters are deeply unhappy about what's happening. A third of Reform voters now questioning Farage's leadership, and that's not good. And it's not good because you need to keep your base happy and your base energised. Just look at Trump and the MAGA movement. And today, the Daily Express reports over 2,000 members have quit since Friday. But a bit of a bombshell here. I've been told the figure is closer to 10,000 members. Nigel, and remember, I am an ally of Nigel too, so this is all difficult. But he is insisting the problem isn't him, it's everyone else.
I don't fall out with anybody. They fall out with me. You know what? Most of the team that I work with in this party are people that have been around me for over a decade. I am a team player. I do work with people. I do it for the long term.
Your political biography is strewn with roadside political corpses, people you've fallen out with.
I don't fall out with anybody. I just get on and do what I do. They fall out with me.
And of course, politics shouldn't be this personal. It is deeply uncomfortable. So I repeat, I support Nigel Farage. I support Richard Tice. I support Rupert Lowe. As I've always been very honest with you, I believe I'm a critical friend to reform because I want this country to be saved and we need a strong populist right to do that. But it's the police debate that Rupert was most important on, and actually making sure that Nigel's positions were not softening on everything from mass deportations to, yes, the question of Islam. Watch.
But the nub of it is, we have a Muslim population in Britain growing by about 75% every 10 years. Right? That's just where we are.
Mm-hmm.
If we politically alienate the whole of Islam, we will lose. We'll lose.
So how does one include
We
them?
will lose. By 2050, goodness knows what kind of a terrible state we're going to be in.
Now look, I still hope there's a way back from all of this. Because allowing Rupert Lowe to walk out and join the Tories or launch his own party backed by Elon Musk is insanity for Reform UK. It didn't have to be this way, and it shouldn't be this way. Now, Darren Grimes, here for today's uncancelled interview. Darren, so great to have you on Outspoken for the first time. I'm really excited to talk much more in just a little bit about your decision to leave GB News, set up independently with Darren Grimes Unleashed. We're going to get to all of that. But of course, we have to kick off with the news of the day. And do you understand why I'm so concerned about this police investigation, Darren? Like, Reform have done this to themselves. I don't get it.
It's brilliant to be with you, Dan. But listen, I share the concerns of everybody of the idea that reform itself could be at risk. You know, I share the concern that if that happened, we would end up with the Uni Party continuing to do what they have done since I was put on this planet in 1993, which incidentally, by the way, is the year that Nigel Farage got involved in British politics. But I'm not ready to pick everything up, Dan, and say, well, the game's up, let's call it a day and go on home. Because I look at my little niece, I'm sure you look at your little niece as well, Dan, and you think of the kind of country that you want them to grow up in. And I think the best platform offering a prospectus that would save Britain is the Reform Party. I just wish that all of this would get sorted over a nice slap-up meal, maybe at one of Nigel's favourite restaurants, talk it out and actually get going, because the Conservatives today, you'll have seen this, Dan, they're going hell for leather on migration, hoping that we're all so thick that we totally forget about the Boris wave, 900,000 people coming here last year. We forget about all of that in a sort of days of disillusionment with the Reform Party. I hope and pray that that doesn't happen. I hope and pray that we get through this dramatic period and actually reach a point of consensus and unity, because the nation needs reform like you wouldn't believe, baby.
And I get that. I get that. And this is where the right is really divided, Darren. So you're on the team of Alison Pearson, who I think is brilliant. I don't really know how I feel at the moment. I just want to report both sides fairly and accurately, and I don't want to see a good man like Rupert Lowe destroyed. But on the other side is Ben Habib, the former deputy leader of Reform UK. And I just want to take you through something that he has posted in the past hour. He says, there is no doubt the complaints levelled by Nigel Farage and Zia Yusuf against Rupert Lowe are rubbish. I knew they would try to rubbish him before the situation blew up. I rarely post private texts, but this is what I sent Rupert at 7:59 on the 28th of February. And I'm going to read that in just a moment. But he says, the tactics used with Rupert are tactics I've seen them use with dozens and dozens of good, loyal supporters. Their reward for giving up their lives for reform was being sacked and having their reputations destroyed. People who behave as they have done are not fit for government. And then this is the text message that he sent Rupert Lowe. He said, morning, Rupert. The drumbeat of a rift between you and reform is getting louder. Many people asking me, telling me. Needless to say, don't allow them to throw you out and thereby control the narrative. They'll find some cock and bull story to justify their decision, and any defence you offer will be dismissed as being wrong, bitter and twisted. The rift is irreconcilable, as most are with Nigel. You should take control of events and resign. Then you control the narrative, and the truth behind your rift will win over their lies. I know the above is obvious, but I'd kick myself if I didn't mention it and events then unfolded in their favour. Happy to chat if you like. What a shame Nigel cannot be a team player. But Alison Pearson of the Daily Telegraph, Darren, who is a great woman, a friend of both of ours, she posted in response to Ben Habib, I'm sure this is right, but setting ego and vanity aside, do you want a right-wing government or not? That is what's at stake. Delusions that you could rival Nigel Farage box office power are just that, delusions. A new party won't work, but it will give comfort to the enemy. Who's right there, Darren? Ben Habib or Alison Pearson?
Listen, Ben Habib, by the way, did tweet saying he had permission from Rupert to share that, and I was glad to see that because I thought I sort of shrieked and recoiled with horror when I saw WhatsApp messages starting to be posted.
Well, I know what that's like.
Oh, no.
Remember Lawrence Fox's little game with me? Don't share private messages without permission. Good point.
Absolutely. But on Alison's point, listen, I think Alison is a voice of common sense at Telly Towers, and what I would say, I hope people recognise that I've been in this game in a activist role since I was 21, right? I have never been in this for money, fame or fortune. If I did, I would make some very, very dodgy decisions throughout my life, including now. But the answer here has to be what serves the national interest most. Now, I think that this moment is deeply suboptimal, to say the least. It is unwanted, unnecessary, and I wish it hadn't happened. But we are where we are. Now, I don't know what Ben thinks will happen. I assume maybe he thinks that there could be, and the FT reported this last night, that Elon Musk is tempted to fund a resurgent party. I think actually all you would do is end up losing the Farage effect. And I know that will make some viewers very angry at me saying that. But he is a man, I walk into homes in County Durham, young people sat around in one room, I'll never forget it, and they all said to me, Darren, this country needs reform. It needs Nigel Farage. They know Nigel Farage because they watched him on I'm a Celebrity. They've grown up with Nigel Farage on the background. It takes years and years to build up name recognition and brand identity, quite like the Farage effect. The idea that you can come in with a load of money and Rupert Lowe will all of a sudden be the replacement messiah, to use his words, co-opt Rupert Lowe's language in that infamous Daily Mail interview, which was reckless and irresponsible, by the way, because Andrew Pearce has wanted to destroy reform since day one. So I think that interview in and of itself was foolhardy. But taking all that in the round, they can't do this. I think reform is the best possible vehicle to actually lead the charge up to 2029. And I totally get the groundswell of opinion that thousands of people have reportedly unfollowed Zia Yusuf or cancelled their membership. But I hope they recognise that we are where we are because of where the Uniparty have taken us, and that actually reform are the only ones that are willing to take a sledgehammer to the British state and actually give the energy and pizzazz that's necessary to save this country. And I repeat that, save Britain, because we are facing a civilizational moment in this country.
Big time. I'm so glad, by the way, you've mentioned Tory boy Pierce, who absolutely is out to destroy Reform UK. That's a very good point. By the way, quite shocking scenes there, though, in Parliament, Darren, in the House of Commons this afternoon, because you see Richard Tice and Lee Anderson sitting in the middle row, and then there's Rupert entering on his own. A lot of people feeling very, very sad about that situation. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.